And the other thing that we've got to realize that Africa is our homeland. We've actually got to understand that here. Because sometimes I hear some people, diasporans, say things like, oh, and you see that a lot on social media. Those continentals, they don't like us. Or they say we're not Africans. Imagine you or any of the sisters, somebody comes to you and says, you're not a woman. How would you respond to them? Tell me, think about it. So you're not a woman.
They say you're crazy.
Absolutely. They'd either have to be crazy on medication or something, or being bipolar, or both. But then somebody comes up to you and tells you you're not an African, and you become offended. You must be crazy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You need to understand that. And so there must be that deep understanding, because even people on the continent do not know our history.
That's right.
They've kept the history away from us the same way it's been kept away from Africans in the diaspora. So don't think people on the continent know all this history, and no, the enemy is the same.
That's right. That's right. Word sound.
We're talking about some of the things that have happened. You said to give some more specifics. You see, the thing about Libya was the higher, had the highest quality of life on the continent, and amenities, social services, quality of life, living, because the oil was used for them. It wasn't like how in Nigeria, the benefits of the oil are used, for other societies. And Gaddafi obviously had a lot of plans, was going to change the currency. Same thing, Saddam wanted to do. That the world currency is in US dollars. That's what props up their economy as the foremost economy. So Saddam was going to change, he had just done it, to change their reserves from dollars into euros.
Yeah.
Gaddafi was also going to do the same thing, but wanted to make it into the gold dinar, that this would be the currency of the global economy. They don't mess. You touch their profits, you're going. And that's exactly what happened. Because it was going to cut out, the monopoly of the dollar. And they don't play. And also, this question of African unity, any leader that pushes that position beyond rhetorics, they're coming. Because that's the one thing. If we achieve African unity, the game is over. Yeah. And that's why for us as political activists, the first work is to achieve African unity amongst the people. Because a lot of times when we talk of African unity, it's still on the state level, on the question of governments and countries.
Right.
Our continent is ruled by neo-colonial criminals, the vast majority of them. And so that kind of unity will not come from the top. We've been talking about it. They will not do it. Because they need to have, their own private spaces where they're able to exploit, the individual economies. So that unity will have to come from below. That's right. When we get to a position when the people are saying, we will unite, we're already united, not we will unite. I'm saying that's the level we need to get to. And that can only be done, people to people networks. That then makes the government policies irrelevant because we're already forming these bonds. But for us to do that, even we ourselves must understand deep in our psyche, not just something we say and we don't feel, to understand that we are African. And to study about the other side, because people just sometimes concentrate on their own side. You must learn about sisters and brothers on the other side of the Atlantic. There's your twins all over. You meet somebody who looks so much like you'll be spooked. Literally, you will be spooked.
Yeah.
So I'm saying these are some of the things that are our personal responsibility. So anyway, that's what Gaddafi tried to do. Somalia was a victory for us, because a lot of times we don't recognize our victories in struggle.
That's right.
When the Somalis, took down the Americans, that Black Hawk, incident, they whooped them, like they'll say in America, they whooped them bad. But look at Somalia, a small country. They've already destabilized it, and yet they were able to organize themselves, to chase the Americans out of their country. If Somalia can do that, what about the rest of us?